right, welcome to Don't Take This Personally,
a podcast about the business of creativity.
We are your hosts,
Gabriel Conover
and Olavarria. Welcome to our first episode. We both have the giggles.
Yes.
We've been talking for like an hour, and we just keep delaying hitting record because we can't shut up.
Venting.
So anyways, welcome. I feel like
Yes.
this has been a long time coming. I feel like it's been our destiny to join forces and do something.
Definitely.
So let's kind of just take this opportunity to tell the homies what we're doing here, who we are, and what they can expect from us. So first things first, Gabe and I are both full-time wedding photographers and have other things we do too.
Creative entrepreneurs.
Yes. So why don't you tell the fans and listeners, why are we doing this and what are we doing?
Yeah, so Cami and I have fairly successful businesses, and we've had them for quite a few years now, and so we just feel like we have a lot of knowledge to share. We want to take a very no bullshit type approach, just to give you the straight up facts about what we think success really looks like and how to get there.
Yeah, our bullshit meters go through the roof a lot. Constantly. And it's really interesting whenever something comes up in business, Gabe is always the first person I want to call and talk to. I don't know what it is.
Ditto.
There's just, even if we don't always agree,
yeah.
I just feel like we understand each other more than most people. And I also think we see things a little bit differently.
Yes,
than kind of what the average, what's going on in the industry kind of a thing. And there's a lot of bullshit out there. There's a lot of fluff.
So much.
We want to come give you guys real, no nonsense, direct advice. I don't want to trick you. We want to tell you exactly where we've been and how we did it and how you can get there too. Because there really is like room for everyone in this life we're creating for ourselves.
Yes.
So
totally.
We're stoked, and we just want to tell you kind of what you can expect from us.
Yes.
So we want you to feel like how our spouses feel when we're just sitting around the dinner table with a margarita in hand, and Gabe and I can't shut the fuck up about what's going on in our world. Okay, like we could talk forever.
Constant. Yes.
It's constant, and we want to take some of that pressure off our partners and bestow it upon your ear holes. So
because you probably appreciate it a little bit more.
You might appreciate some of the content a little more than our partners. And on that note, we could literally talk forever.
Literally.
If something doesn't cut us off.
This is why it took us so long to start recording today.
Yeah, we were sitting here just catching up for an hour. I saw him last week. How was there more to catch up on? But because of that, we have kind of a fun idea for this. I don't know how this is going to work, so you are on this journey in real time with us as we are.
Yes.
We are going to set a timer for our conversations. The timer has already begun. We're 3.5 minutes in. No matter where we are in the conversation, we will stop talking at 28 minutes. Yes. And if the conversation really is not wrapped up, then okay, maybe means there has to be a part 2 or something. But we want to give you a really clear idea of what to expect. When you see our episode drop in your feed, it's less than a half-hour commitment. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be weird. There's probably gonna be some bad words. I think I've already dropped an F-bomb,
and we're gonna get straight to the point.
We're gonna get straight to the point, and having this timer will help us not kind of dilly-dally around like all the tangents we could go on, and we'll save those tangents for different conversations.
Yes.
So
we'll spare you.
That, and we'll just see how this goes, if it's possible for the two of us to really shut up after 28 minutes.
Yeah, probably our spouses will probably say it's not possible, but you know what?
Yeah.
That's our competitive brains are going to prove them wrong.
Yeah, we can do this. So on that note, this first episode, we want to tell you who we are individually. So why should you listen to us? What do we have to offer?
Give a little bit of credibility.
Yeah, I want you to kind of know where we've come from, where we've been, kind of what our life is like, etc. So on that note, we're each going to take turns. We're each going to have our 10 minutes of glory to tell you our Cliff Notes version story, and that will be our first episode.
Yeah, and then we'll kind of share a little bit about how we met and how our relationship kind of developed into what it is today as well.
Our love story. Okay. First things first. Should I go first?
Yeah, Cammy, go first.
Okay. So, little Cammy's story. I didn't always know I wanted to be a photographer by any means. I was always really creative. I was always doing art projects. I was really into drawing and painting. I played drums. My husband's a drum teacher. Everyone loves to be like, "Oh my gosh, did he teach you drums?" No, I've been playing since I was a young kid. I always knew I wanted to do something creative with my life. And paired with that, I was always quite a little entrepreneur and quite a little hustler. My earliest memory of this was from probably like third grade to fifth grade. I used to write my own plays, and I would hold auditions during recess, full on. I would be the star of them naturally. I would direct and produce and cast and write the damn thing. And I was so committed to this. I would do it from writing through performance. And I did this for many years, and people actually auditioned for me. So that...
I'm sure your teachers were all terrified of what you would turn into.
They're like, what is this person's future? So that was the little first, entrepreneurial sprinkle, I would say. And then in junior high, I would teach my friends drum lessons, and I was like a 13-year-old charging like what my husband teaches professionally for drum lessons. I had like 5 students. That's legit money for a 13-year-old. So there's my next little story. And then I was also in all these bands, and I would plan benefit concerts that would raise money for things. I was like 14 doing this, and I was in the process of starting a nonprofit called Rock the Cause Benefit Concerts. If anyone out there, I never took that name, you should take that. It's fucking gold. Okay, it's good. So
sounds like Disney Channel.
I know. And I definitely got that idea from One Tree Hill. The fellow like teenagers in the 2000s, you know what I'm talking about. I thought I was Peyton. Okay, so there's that. I was always up to stuff. And then when I was in high school, so my mom was a professional makeup artist, and her friends kind of like took me in and wanted to make me a little makeup artist. So I was one of my high school jobs on the weekends, I would be like a makeup artist assistant. I was like a full-on apprentice from the time I was 15 to 18. I would go to all their weddings with them, their photo shoots. I would clean their stuff. I would carry their kits when they were pregnant. I was just like their little teenage right-hand lady. And I learned a lot from that. So I've really been in the wedding game like most of my life, which is really fascinating. But that was kind of my first taste of it. I really, I didn't think anything of it, but one time a group of bridesmaids walked in from a makeup counter looking like shit, and the makeup artist I was working for was like, "Hey Cammie, you're up, like fix them. I don't have time to do it," so I made them look amazing for a wedding. I was like 17 years old, and then the makeup artist was like, "Hey, you're actually good at this, like I want to train you and you should work for us when you turn 18. So little 18-year-old Cammie saved the day. She became a certified professional makeup artist. I was working for this company. I thought I was going to do that forever. I loved makeup. I loved weddings. But at the same time, I was really interested in like some stuff that was going on in the nonprofit world. I was seeing a lot of like really great like film and photojournalism type stuff coming out of like nonprofit work, and I was very conflicted. I was like, man, I want to create stuff like that, but I love weddings and I love makeup. So fast forward, I went into college, followed a boy, thought I was not going to go to college. Parents said I had to, followed a boy to college. I ended up in the visual journalism program because I did yearbook in high school and was like, well, I guess I could do that. So did that. Throughout the course of college, I was still like had my weekend job. I was driving down to Seattle every weekend doing makeup at weddings, and then like going back to college and doing the college thing. And I was so conflicted. I was like, man, I love what I'm learning in school. I love photojournalism. I love producing content. But I love weddings. And to me, those things did not feel like they could go together. And that was really confusing. I don't know why it never occurred to me to try wedding photography, but someone saw that in me before I saw it in myself. And one of my acquaintances, I said that weird, acquaintances asked me to shoot their wedding because they, didn't have room in their budget for a photographer. So knowing what I know now, it was crazy for me to agree to this. Like, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I was like, yeah, sure, I've got 6 months. I can figure out how to shoot a wedding. So I spent that next 6 months before that first wedding, like learning everything I possibly could about portrait photography and
That's crazy.
weddings. Like I remember looking stuff like Googling, like, how do you shoot a wedding? You know, I just
How to shoot
how
wedding.
to shoot wedding. And I would just, you know, anyone who would get in front of my camera, I would shoot them, I would practice. And then really naturally, my photo J work in school really started to turn into like portrait photography.
Uh-huh.
My professors would be like, those are great, but not the assignment. And I'd be like, whoops. So anyways, shot that first wedding. It actually went really well, better than it probably should have. It was crazy. And then from there, I just started getting more photo work. It wasn't something I was aggressively seeking out. I was just having fun. I was just getting literally anyone who would let me shoot them. I would shoot them. I would share it. I'd get more. And then all of a sudden, I was like shooting a lot of photo work. And I was like,
that's crazy.
damn, this is crazy.
Yeah.
What's happening? And there were some really weird years right after college where I was also offering photo and video. In the early years of my business, I had a dream of being like a creative house or like a service provider house for weddings where I could offer videography, photography, hair and makeup. Maybe more on this in future episodes. Spoiler alert, I don't think that's a great idea. We'll go into why later. But I did that for a while. And I was still so conflicted because I had been doing makeup for so long. So I was only getting makeup gigs. I wasn't getting the photo gigs I wanted, but I could sense that I would there were some weekends where I would go do makeup at one wedding and then go shoot another wedding. It was absolutely crazy. And I could just see that my heart was more interested in photography because I would make things like that happen. Like I would get booked for makeup first and then be like, yeah, I can shoot a wedding too. Whereas if I was booked to shoot a wedding, I would have never also taken a makeup job that day. So I could just see that's where my heart was. I could also tell that I was always okay just kind of being good enough at makeup. Whereas once I started getting really into photography, it was like something had come over me and I needed to know everything about it. And I'm still that way. So yeah, that's kind of...
The passion was real.
The passion was real and I didn't really understand that at the time. So that was kind of how I got there. And then, you know, I've basically been full-time ever since. I haven't really had another job post-college. I just started shooting, kept shooting, shot some more. Before I knew it, I was shooting like 30 weddings a year. Then that became 40. Then that became 50. Then we decided we wanted to move to California. We moved to San Diego 3 years ago. That really did a lot for my business and really made me like the photographer I am today. You know, it's like 7 or 8 years later, over 300 weddings later. This is what, this is all I've ever known. It's been a crazy freaking ride. It's been wild. But I really love the journey and yeah, that's that. We live in San Diego. I'm married. I've been married for, you know, like 5.5 years. My husband's a musician. There's like lots, you know, to talk about around there. Future episodes. We're both entrepreneurial and it's terrifying. But we make it work somehow. And so anyways, that's me. That's my story.
And you have a little puppers.
Yeah, my dog is... I was gonna try not to go off on that for too long.
Oh,
like,
fault.
my dog is my whole life. I love her more than I've ever loved anything.
She's very precious.
She's just the best thing ever. So yeah, my dog Bella, short for Bellatrix. Any Harry Potter fans out there, you may relate.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that's me.
Awesome.
And that was exactly 10 minutes. Now your turn.
Now I have to start right away.
Yeah. No dilly-dallying.
Okay, no dilly-dallying. Awesome. So yeah, I have grown up in San Diego my whole life. I've always been very, very artistic. Honestly, I didn't know that I would ever pursue a career in art or creativity because I guess just my whole life I really saw it as something that wasn't sustainable, wasn't realistic. And yeah, I mean... It's crazy that I am where I am now, just absolutely loving and adoring my job. So yeah, I started out, I think I was 5. I started taking piano lessons and music was kind of like my creative outlet throughout most of my non-adult life. When I was 13, my dad got me a point and shoot camera. My parents got me one. I don't know if it was for my birthday or whatever. And I just kind of would go outside, take pictures of flowers and bugs and birds. I feel like a lot of people can relate to starting out that way. I became like a master at tracking down hummingbirds and like being really quiet and getting like, you know, those still frames where you can see their wings aren't blurry. You know, I thought I was so cool for that. And then I just pursued it in that way for a while. And then my older brother, when he was graduating high school, my parents were like, oh, Gabe takes pictures, so let's have him take Isaac's senior photos. And I did, and I really loved it. It was one of my first experiences really taking portraits. And he's a baseball player, so we went to like this baseball field and the dugout and took all these like cool artsy photos of my brother. And I just had a really good time doing it. And then all of his friends saw his photos and they really liked them and probably also knew that I would charge them practically nothing. Being honest. Maybe it was more
That's
that
how
one.
That's how it starts. That's fine.
And they all asked me to take their senior photos and I just loved, honestly, every second of it. So that's how I really started. I think I was 17 when a friend of ours from church asked me to shoot their wedding at our church. And I just, like, being the ambitious, tenacious person that I am, just kind of said yes without really thinking about it.
17.
Yep.
That's the opposite of imposter syndrome. Like, whatever imposter syndrome is, that is the opposite.
Whatever it is,
that's amazing.
I don't have it. So, I was 17, and it honestly, I learned a lot from that experience, and nothing against the wedding or the couple or anything. It just was such a stressful experience for me being my first time that after it, I was just like, yeah, I don't think I ever want to do this again.
Same. I said the same thing after my first one,
yeah,
too.
It was just like, why would I put myself under this much stress? Like having to make sure I capture every single moment, like following the right timeline. It was just like so stressful. I was like, yeah, I'm done.
We're addicted now.
I know now. Now I'm like, give me more.
Yeah.
Give me more stress. Anxiety.
We love it.
Yes. So yeah, that's kind of how it all started. I never wanted to do it again. I think I was 16 when I got my first, like, I guess, hourly job. I worked at Starbucks for 5 years. And so when I graduated high school, my wife and we actually got married when we were 18. And so I kind of had to choose an actual outlet of what I was going to actually pursue realistically to make money. And I was choosing between, I was also currently a music major in college. So I was like, do I pursue music? Do I pursue photography? Or do I pursue maybe moving up in retail management at Starbucks? And at the time, that was the most realistic thing because it actually was giving me a steady paycheck. And I had already gotten a promotion. So I was like, all right, let's just keep chasing this down. I started out as a barista, became a supervisor when I was 18. I was an assistant manager when I was 19. And then I became a store manager when I was 20. And I managed a store, a drive-through right next to San Diego State. And as much as I loved aspects of it, it just really started to stress me out a lot. And I felt like I was coming home every day just like, this sucks. I hate being responsible for something that isn't mine because, you know, as much as a company wants you to treat your coffee shop, your Starbucks, like it's your own coffee shop, it's really not. You have to abide by their standards and stuff like that. And I had so many ideas of how we could make it better, and that just wasn't a realistic thing that I could actually pursue. So it just made me stressed out and upset, and I became unmotivated. Throughout my career at Starbucks, I was shooting weddings for friends and stuff like that on the side just to make a little bit of extra money. I was fine with it. I didn't love it, but it felt like extra cash in my pocket, and plus, like, I was going to go to these weddings anyway for my friends because, you know, I would have been invited, so why not make a little bit of money while I'm there? But I didn't really love it. Until I happened upon this opportunity to shoot a wedding in Washington. And pretty much what happened is I was editing at a coffee shop next to my house, and this girl and her best friend, they were peering over my shoulder, and they asked me for my card, and I was like, okay. Sure. Like, thinking nothing is going to come from this. Yeah. Like, this is not how this works. Like, right. I'm not established. You're going to see my website and be like, oh, never mind. He's some nobody. But they reached out to me a couple days later, and they were like, yeah, we want you to come shoot our wedding in Washington. And I was like, in Washington? Like, why the hell are you bringing me?
What's Washington?
Yeah. so true. What is Washington?
What's
Pacific
Washington?
Northwest. So I just was like, okay, like let's entertain this opportunity, and they ended up booking with me, and I kind of like made this conscious decision that, okay, these people are trusting me to fly me out to Washington to do their wedding. Like, I need to create an incredible experience for these people.
Yeah, like there has to be something there.
There has to be something. I can't just do it in the way that I've been handling weddings with my friends, you know, in the past, where it's just kind of like an afterthought. This can't be an afterthought. So I just invested a lot in, is this my timer?
No.
Oh, no, that's the timer.
That's the timer.
Oh, God. Okay, I'm going to speed up.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Okay. I just, like, created an actual client experience for the first time and went all out for these people. And it just became this incredible experience. My wife and I, we went to Washington. We made a week-long just trip out of it. And they paid for us to go wine tasting the day before. The wedding was just gorgeous. And the couple is just amazing. I still talk to them today. They've had us over for dinner, and the wedding was just emotional and beautiful, and it struck a real chord with me. And then I had edited all their photos within like a week and sent it to them, and I was just like, I'm in. I'm in this now. Like, it just felt so inspiring, and I finally became passionate about it. Which is funny. You mentioned the same thing. Like, why didn't I put these two things together? Because my two biggest passions in life are just for art and creativity, and then for people.
Same.
This is literally my job now. Yeah. Combines those two things.
I don't know why it took me so long to realize that.
It's so dumb.
All I want is to create shit and make people happy.
Exactly.
This is like the perfect
And go
job.
to parties every weekend.
It's kind of the
literally
best.
the life. So yeah, that's how it all started. And then the week later, I did my wife's cousin's wedding in Monterey. And again, it was just this incredible experience. I had a relationship with this couple because we were related to them. And it was this beautiful wedding, and they went all out. And I just was so inspired by it. And then another week later, I had another inspiring wedding for a couple that is still friends with us today. And it was just like this 3-week experience where I was like, I'm on a high. Like, wow. I love this.
That's
this is
badass
so
right away.
good. Yeah, and those were literally my only 3 weddings of the entire year. We're right back to back. Yeah, it was meant to be, I guess you could say.
Totally.
So yeah, my wife was pregnant with our second kid. We had just bought a condo, and I went on paternity leave, and I just never went back.
I love that. I love that.
So that was 2018. January of 2018 is when I consider the first, when I went full time. So I went into the year 2018 with 7 weddings on the books, ended up doing 30. Next year I ended up doing 50. Was supposed to do 50 last year.
Yeah.
Have more than 50 this year.
Yep.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
We'll see. That's the life right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've just honestly never looked back. And I'm at a point now, I'm the type of person that will definitely not be doing the same thing forever. And so I've been able to kind of take this last year, as things have just been so unknown, to really explore new creative ideas. I consider myself more of a creative entrepreneur now. I just opened up a studio in San Diego that... we have my own brick and mortar now, which is really cool.
That's so
and
crazy.
It'll turn into a co-working space soon as well. And I'm just going to kind of keep expanding on the biz creative entrepreneurial life. And yeah, so I guess a couple other random things about me. My wife and I, we've been married since we were 18. So I think that we're on 7 years in May. And then we have 3 kids. A 5-year-old, 3-year-old, and then a 10-month-old that was born 1 week after the shutdown. So that's how we kind of keep track of how long this shit has been going on.
Wow. Yeah, that is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so much of what we'll talk about in this journey together is going to be so interesting because we have really similar ways of doing things, but we also have very different lives.
Very different lives. That's so true, which gives us such different perspectives.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be really valuable.
So valuable.
But is that all for
yeah,
your story?
I think I'm good. I don't think I missed out on anything.
So, something you said segues perfectly into how we met.
Yes.
So, one of those first weddings you ever booked was a Washington wedding.
That's right.
Now, when this happened, I was still living in Washington. This was the year we moved to San Diego. So, early in the year. he was coming to Washington, and of course, as you do, which we will talk about in future episodes, he was reaching out to people in Washington like, hey, can I shoot you? He reached out to me randomly with no idea that there was any San Diego connection. This fucking blows my mind,
none.
actually.
Yeah, it is wild.
He just DM'd me like, hey, I'm coming, I'm like a new photographer coming to Seattle. I would love to shoot you and your husband. And I was probably such a snob about it. Like, I was like, no.
Ew.
For some reason, I was like, no, I don't know why. Like, maybe, I don't know.
Let's just say you were, like, making a trip out to San Diego.
I wish I had a brilliant excuse.
We can say it was a kinder
I was
response.
probably just being a snob. But I checked out his profile and saw that he lived in San Diego. And I was like, this is weird, dude. You just reached out to me. I'm actually moving to San Diego this year. So, like, see you around, maybe? So, I'd like to think I was nice. Like,
yeah.
oh, like, I'm not interested or I can't in this, but, like, we'll connect when I get to San Diego, maybe,
Maybe.
And then we did connect. He reached out to me, when I had first moved here, just being like, hey, this was really early and you had just gone full time.
Yes,
and
literally just.
You were like, hey, I just quit my job. Can we get coffee and talk about photography? So we met up for coffee.
Wild.
We were talking for like 2.5 hours, barely talked about photography, mostly talked about life. And I just like instantly was just drawn to you. It was so funny. But there was also something that was like, meh. Like, I can't explain it, but it's like I was obsessed with you, but also there was part of me that like didn't like you and I didn't understand why. And I think this is so fascinating. I'm grown up enough now to be like, I was threatened and it was jealousy. Like,
we were too similar.
I'm mature enough to realize this now, but in the moment I was like, something makes me mad about him and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
So I was wrestling with this for months where I was like, I'm kind of obsessed with him, also kind of hate him, what's going on? And then he invited like a bunch of photographers over for like a get together, and my husband went, and in the car on the way back, he just goes, you know why you're confused about how you feel about him? And I was like, no, why? And he was like, because I've never met anyone that is like your twin, like him. Like he was like, I've never met, he's like, you don't like him because you are the same person.
Yep.
And once that was pointed out to me, I was like, oh my God, that's totally it. We're just destined to be best friends. So once I could recognize that that's what was going on, that was just gone. And then I was like, okay, yeah, he's like meant to be my best friend. It just made me feel threatened at first because I have a very particular personality, so does he, and I felt like I stood out because of my presence and what I had to offer and how I made people feel. And he was one of the only photographers I'd ever met who I think offers a similar experience, and that pissed me off at first. But then I realized, wait, it's like our superpower.
Yeah.
Like, there are only so many clients we can each serve.
Yeah.
So like,
and now we are here.
And now we're here.
Yeah.
I feel like we were just destined to join forces. And yeah, so ever since, Victor, my husband, was always like, we gotta hang out with them. I'm obsessed with them. Like, let's hang out with them. And then we started hanging out, and we've just kind of...
Every time we hang out, we have plans to play games, and we just end up talking for like 5 hours.
We've successfully had a game night.
No, game nights don't exist.
No, we always say we're going to, and then we just end up talking until the wee hours of the morning. I can successfully say there's not another friend we've hung out with until like 2 in the morning, except you guys, like, because we just can't shut the fuck up. Yeah. So, we're just destined to be friends. Okay, we have 30 seconds left until this timer goes off. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I mean, there you guys go. Here's just kind of like a little backstory on us.
Yeah.
And I feel like you might get a good idea now of what
you
future episodes are going to be like.
We're so excited to talk to you guys about stuff.
It's going to be so good.
We want to fuck shit up. We have a lot to say.
We have so much
to say.
It's going to get controversial. Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah. I'm not afraid of it.
No, it'll be great.
Okay, wait. Are we going to let the timer run out?
I don't know.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Done skis.
Okay, we're done. First episode down. We'll see you next time.
We had 5 seconds to spare. All right, see ya.